There's nothing better than a bad movie. Honestly, it's my biggest passion. In fact, there's a rather large subculture based around enjoying bad movies. It didn't really break into the mainstream until the release of the Golden Turkey Awards in 1980. This led to a spike in popularity of movies such as The Giant Claw, Robot Monster, and most infamous Plan 9 from Outer Space. This was quickly replaced by the Razzie Awards the following year, which for all intents and purposes is just the Oscars for bad movies. Even though these things help popularize bad movie watching, I always got the sense that they hate bad movies. I can shit on them and make fun of them, but it's out of love. And this is where I come in. I want to suggest there should be another film added to the pantheon of bad movie greats. That movie is Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. The Halloween franchise was coming off the critical and financial failure of Halloween 5, so Mustafa Akkad, who owned the series, struggled to make a sequel. The film entered development hell for years, causing many of the cast members such as Danielle Harris not to return.
Wanted to reassess where things were and flash forward 5 or 6 years. There was a bidding war actually to do the rights. My father had let the rights lapse back to the original rights holders.
Also, Halloween 5 ends with several unexplained plot points, such as the thorn symbol and the man in black. And who's financing the film? Oh yeah, that's right. The villains of Hollywood are back, baby. Daniel Farrands was brought in to write the script. His job was to wrap up all the loose ends of the previous film and get this shit back on track. Every time this guy is described in interviews or articles, it always says, longtime Halloween fan.
It's just this relentless, diehard fan of the series.
What the fuck does that mean? What are his qualifications? I'm a longtime fan. Can I write one? So this fan writes a script about a curse and a cult and characters? The movie opens with Jamie, the lead of the last 2 movies, giving birth, the father being her uncle Michael Myers, which is weird and gross, but also brings up some plot holes. Put a pin in that. Jamie is captured by the Thorn cult, who are controlling Michael. One of the cult members has a change of heart and helps Jamie and her infant escape, but Michael is hot on their trail. Let's mention that the editing in this movie is dog shit. They are constantly bombarding you with flashy hyper editing during the kills and transitions. I think they were going for the style of music videos at the time. Things like Marilyn Manson and 9 Inch Nails. It's awful and feels like I'm gonna have a seizure. The film's breakneck pace does keep the laughs flowing, but it doesn't let a scene breathe. Because of this, there's no tension, and God knows it's never scary. Michael finds Jamie and throws her ass in the thresher, but not before she's able to hide her baby and send out a distress call over the radio.
Get out the baby, Michael.
I'm not sure why she didn't try the police. Oh well. Tommy Doyle hears her distress call and searches for Jamie. Cut to opening credits. Tommy is the kid for the first one. You remember. What's the boogeyman? Now he's all grown up and played by Paul Rudd, who gives one of the most bizarre performances you will ever see. It's extremely deadpan, but almost sinister. He's our hero, folks. It's never not funny.
I was only 8 years old when I saw him, but I was one of the lucky ones.
I just think he was trying way too hard, or maybe going for a Loomis thing.
Believe that Michael Myers is actually alive.
Michael's work isn't done in Haddonfield. And soon, very soon, he'll come home to kill again.
This was Paul Rudd's first major role. A month after it wrapped, he filmed a little movie called Clueless. Since Halloween 6 was in development hell, Clueless actually released before Halloween. This turned Rudd into an overnight sensation. His agent, fearful that Halloween 6 would tank his budding career, tried to stop its release. This was unsuccessful.
So, do all 3 of you have new projects coming along? Paul, another film coming?
Yeah, in October.
Luckily for Paul Rudd, it didn't really affect his career in any negative way. He was still able to be Ant-Man, for whatever that's worth.
I'm Ant-Man.
Anyways, Tommy finds Jamie's incest baby, a common occurrence in a public bathroom, and the rest of the plot is Michael searching for his incest baby, Steven. I only bring up his name so I can stop saying the phrase incest baby.
Jesus.
Tommy still lives across the street from the Myers house, which is currently owned by the Stroud family. Obviously, they're relatives of the Jamie Lee Curtis character, but I'm not sure their exact relation. The dad, John, has the family move into the Myers house without telling them A, that it's a serial killer's old house, B, that there's been like 4 different murder sprees connected to the house, and C, that the serial killer is still on the loose. Needless to say, John is awesome and my favorite character in the movie.
You stinking kids got about 3 seconds to get the hell off my property. 1, 2...
Like, just look at this breakfast scene.
Facing my property.
It's so poorly handled and amazing.
Showed them.
John, they were just kids.
Kids, my dear Deborah, what's ruining this country? Everywhere you go, it's the same damn thing. Before you came around, everything was going fine. Till you landed on our doorstep. You and that little bastard here.
Get away from her.
You shut up and stay out. Going to college. You ever talk to me like that
Just
again?
keep slipping
so
over
help me
cash.
God. You know, while you're at it, I got a great idea. You understand?
I love it. After the scene, we're introduced to the son's girlfriend, Beth. She's hot in that like 90s witchy way. Like you can see her as an extra in The Craft or someone who's really into horoscopes. Her subplot involves her trying to get Haddonfield to celebrate Halloween again. They banned it because, you know, the countless murders. It's basically Footloose with much higher stakes. This involves the radio guy from the beginning, but none of it really goes anywhere. It's just something to waste the character's time until they're inevitably killed. Donald Pleasance is back for the last time playing Dr. Loomis. Unfortunately, it's not his best outing. He's mostly tired and disinterested.
Just very much retired.
Which sucks, because I was really enjoying his arc throughout the series. In the first 2 Halloween films, he's a little out there, calling his patient evil and hunting him down with a revolver.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
And Halloween 4, he does a slow motion action flip, but Halloween 5 is peak Loomis. The entire movie, he's screaming at a mute, traumatized little girl.
Right!
And by the end of the movie, he's actively using her as bait.
Here she is!
He nearly beats Michael to death with a 2x4, but his heart gives out before he can finish Michael off. Fuck, Halloween 5 is so good. We don't get that Loomis here. He's more subtle and in the background, wandering around, looking lost.
Back to Loomis.
So the Stroud kids head to school, and for some reason the son, Tim, sits in the car like this the entire ride, forcing them to drive like 10 miles per hour. I know it doesn't matter, and it's like really quick, but it's fucking distracting, and I'm still thinking about it. Also, the kids must be going to college, right? Because they look 40, and Kara has like a 10-year-old.
Looks like your little boy's got himself quite an imagination.
Kara discovers her kid's disturbing murder drawing, and Tim's reaction is fucking gold.
I think it's cool.
Must be some nightmare.
Tommy takes baby Steven to the hospital in the calmest way possible.
What kind of accident?
Get me a doctor now!
He then runs into Loomis, where we left
Dr.
him,
Loomis?
wandering around, looking lost. They have a quick exposition dump, desperately trying to explain to the audience this dumbass cult plot. As I said, we'll come back to that later. Alright, let's get to the fucking killing. You can't have a slasher movie without a body count. Deborah, left at home, is being stalked by Michael. The scene pays homage to the first movie, but these are just the same shots we've seen 100 times at this point. Loomis stops by, warning her where she lives.
What makes you think he'll come back here?
This house is sacred to him. He has all his memories here. His rage.
I don't know why they let people live here. They should have torn the fucker down. You know, because of the countless murders. Deborah, pissed, calls her husband. He gaslights the shit out of her, brings out all the classic moves, even hits her with one of these.
You know, Deborah, you've lost it now. You know that, Deborah? You've just lost it.
Michael makes his move, and Deborah gets axed from the movie. After school, Kara's kid is abducted by Tommy. Tommy has a real problem taking children that aren't his. So Kara comes home and finds her child hanging out with Tommy, a full-grown man, and some random baby. And then Tommy starts explaining to her about a cult, curses, Michael Myers, and she's just like, oh, very interesting. Let's go over to your house, weird, creepy stranger. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, girl? Get your kid and get out of there. What are you doing? You have no self-preservation. After this, John gets home and finds an empty house. Just kidding, Michael's there. We get the best kill in the movie. You will be missed. Michael, after dispatching John, heads to the town festival to bring back Halloween. This is hosted by Tim, Beth, and the DJ from earlier. The three of them plan to go to the Myers house where Tim lives. While leaving, the DJ is killed and thrown up a tree without anyone noticing. This scene doesn't make any sense if you think about it for even a second. Like, I get that it's creepy to have the little girl playing in blood, but shouldn't she be much younger? This girl looks 10. She would know that it's not raining red. Tim and Beth get back to the house to have sex, shower, and get murdered. You know the classics. Then Kara and her son are kidnapped by the cult, leaving Tommy and Loomis to save them. At this point, you're probably wondering who directed this piece of shit. His name is Joe Chappelle. During the late 90s, he was sort of a hired gun for the Weinsteins. His first movie at Miramax was Halloween 6. Once this wrapped, he was sent to finish Hellraiser 4, Bloodline, also known as Hellraiser in Space. Joe was brought in because the original director quit in the middle of shooting. It was such a disaster that it ended up being released as an Alan Smithy movie. After that, he made Phantoms with a young Ben Affleck, a movie so bad that it's a running joke in Jay and Silent Bob.
But Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms.
Word, bitch. Phantom's like a motherfucker. Affleck, you the bomb in Phantom, yo!
Then he did Skulls 2, the sequel to that boring Paul Walker, Joshua Jackson thriller from the late 90s. He pretty much moved into TV after that, except for this one movie he did in 2019 that literally looks like a fake movie. He is a hack, to say the least. So they arrive at the hospital for the final confrontation. Loomis goes to face the man in black, who is revealed to be the cult leader and Dr. Loomis's boss. It's this guy. He's got a couple scenes in the movie. One scene in the first movie where Loomis yells at him.
He can't drive a car. He was doing very well last night.
It's time to talk about the cult. I've been hyping it up, but don't worry, it won't live up to even your smallest expectations. So there's this evil pagan cult that worships this thorn constellation that appears every so often. During these times, a child would be possessed to kill their entire family. It would give the child superhuman abilities and the cult some sort of power. This is supposed to explain a few things throughout the series. 1, why these kids keep trying to kill people. 2, why does it happen sporadically on Halloween? And 3, why Michael is always trying to kill a family member. That's all fine and good. Well, I mean, it's stupid and really silly and destroys the mystique, and I hate it, but it makes enough sense. However, if the goal is for Michael to kill all of his family members, then why did Michael conceive baby Steven with his niece? It's antithetical to the whole convoluted goal they have set up for the movie. And no, the producer's cut doesn't explain it better. I've seen it, you son of a bitch. It's worse and leans far heavier into the stupid cult plot, doesn't have the funny music, and worst of all, doesn't have a head explosion. Hold on, I'll explain what on God's earth I'm blabbering about. Before the movie came out, there was 2 edits of the film made. One with the backing of the director / the Weinsteins, and the other one longtime producer Mustafa Akkad wanted. The Weinsteins won out. Their version was released into theaters. Mustafa's version would end up being called the producer's cut and was shelved, never to be released. At some point, the producer's cut was leaked online. The first time I saw it was over a decade ago during a drunken movie marathon with some friends. Someone was able to torrent a rip with terrible quality, but nowadays you can get an official release in HD. It's worth a watch for those that are really curious or completionists, but the people that say it's better have lied to you. Go with the theatrical cut, it's way funnier. Tommy finds Kara and they are chased by Michael into the bowels of the hospital. I mentioned the funny score earlier, but this is where you really get it in full force. It's so bad. Where do I begin? The original Halloween has arguably the greatest soundtrack ever. This one has the worst. It sounds cheap, overproduced, and is overbearing. The worst part is the ridiculous guitar riff, which sounds like something from Phantom of the Opera. Why are we in like a mad scientist lab now? I don't know what is happening. Just before this, they were in a Freddy Krueger boiler room, and before that, we were in the emptiest hospital since Halloween 2. My brain is trying to process this constant changing location. Michael kills the remaining cult members with a surgical machete in this terribly edited sequence. Then Tommy beats Michael with a pipe until green ooze comes out of him. It doesn't matter at this point. What does matter is we have gotten through one of the worst chase scenes I have ever seen, and the villain is finally defeated. The film is wrapping this shit up. Tommy, Kara, and the children go to leave as Loomis randomly shows up, who has been missing for the entire climax.
Come with
he
us.
stays behind with some
I
vague
have
bullshit
a
about
little
business to attend to here. And then we hard cut to Michael's mask on the ground with a syringe and a stock scream from Donald Pleasance in the background. I guess we are to assume Michael killed Dr. Loomis off screen. Then it cuts to In Memory of Donald Pleasance as its sick final punchline. Jesus Christ, what an unbelievable choke to play on a beloved actor. He was the president in Escape from New York. He acted with a monkey in a Dario Argento movie. Can we give him any respect? Just awful, but it does make me laugh every time. And with that sour taste in everyone's mouth, it just ends.